Hey Pico Brewers, Annie Johnson here to talk to you about hops. Hops come in several different forms. Pellets, whole cones, loose leaf, or plugs. The Zymatic's designed to use pellets. I personally prefer pellets, but I also like whole cone hops for dry hopping, but we'll talk about that later. But you can purchase hops at your local homebrew supply store or online. Your hops should come to you vacuum packed. They're purged with nitrogen, and generally they should come in a light barrier packaging form. But the important thing to remember is that hops are very sensitive to UV light. It only takes 30 seconds for an occurrence to happen in the hop, causing it to be light struck. And what I mean by light struck is it becomes skunky. You may have experienced this when having an imported beer. Sometimes it comes in a clear bottle, sometimes it comes in a green bottle. But you sniff it and you can smell it. It's mercaptan or skunk, or you can taste it. You don't want that in your beer. So take your hops as soon as you get them from the homebrew shop or online and stick them in your freezer. The freezer keeps them the freshest. Remember, if you're storing hops in your freezer, they degrade their properties by 3% per year. So you can just try to remember with your hop inventory, if you're not using them right away, when you purchase them, so you know to take that into your calculations when you're doing your next brew. When you're measuring your hops for your brew, use your hops compartment. Put it on your scale, tear it out, add your hops. You want to make sure that the cage lid is nice and secure. If it's gotten a little loose or you're not sure, play it safe and use the silicone bands. I do this with every brew. You don't want your hop cage lid popping in the middle of a brew session. That's good to go. Remember though, if you're going to use whole hops, you want to use 10 to 20% more than you would with pellet hops. The way that the bitterness property are extracted is different. So just keep in mind the 10 to 20 rule. I've gotten a lot of questions about whirlpooling or hop bursting. What this is are whirlpooling hops at a lower temperature. And what this does is extract all the wonderful flavors that you get from hops without the bittering. So you get this softer hop quality, but you get a tremendous flavor impact. And what I've been doing is experimenting with the Zymatic on how to do this. And what I've come up with is a scheduling method in your advanced editor exactly how to do this. So refer to that when you want to do some whirlpooling. But in a nutshell, what it is after the main boiling session, the Zymatic is in a pause mode. You can remove the step filter. At that point, discard your hops that you used in the boiling session and then replace them with full cages or a cage of your hops that you want to use for whirlpooling. In the case of the recipe that I've been experimenting with, Hoppy Chopper, you'll see that I use 6 different hops for the whirlpool. And what this does, when I reinsert the step filter, the Zymatic goes down to 185 degrees. 185 degrees is an optimum temperature for extracting all those wonderful flavor and aroma profiles from hops, but none of the bitterness. So that's what you want. So if you're fans of Heady Topper or Pliny the Elder or Founder Centennial IPA or any of those really good beers that have all that wonderful flavor and aroma character, chances are they did whirlpooling, and now you can do it in the Zymatic. So just refer to the recipe library and the forums for this technique. If you want to dry hop your beer, you can use a nylon sack or a muslin hop sock. Also, there are keg lids that are available that have a special hook on them. The whole point being is that you want your hops suspended in your fermented beer, but you also want to have a way to remove it. With this augmented lid, I can take a nylon sack that has a string on it, and these are available at your local homebrew supply shop or online, and I fill it with whole cone hops or dry hops, make it tight, have it suspended from the lid, and I can descend this into the beer, and then when I'm done after my dry hopping period, I can simply open it up, pull it out, discard the hops. If I'm going to use a hop sock, which I use more often than the nylon sack, I simply put in whole cone or pellet hops, tie a knot in it, throw it in. To fish that out after the dry hopping period, I use a sanitized spoon. Remember, anything that goes into beer after the fermentation period needs to be sanitized. The whole point is to remove the hops after the dry hopping period, because if you leave them in there, eventually they will start to impart a resiny flavor, and you will notice this because it'll feel like the beer is scratching at the back of your throat. You don't want that. So after your initial dry hopping period, usually 5 to 7 days, get rid of them. And also as a note, if you're using whole hops versus pellets on dry hopping, cut them in half, 50% less. Because whole cone hops, while you use more when you're doing the boiling process, in the dry hopping process, they impart more of their essential oils. So just use 50% less. But in our recipe database, these are all noted. You can also use hop extracts. These are extracts that have been done by a manufacturing company to pull out all the essential oils of hops. You can add these after fermentation to your taste. If you want to add them directly to a beer, I think that's the best way to go. Generally, it's 1 to 2 drops per pint of beer. And you can just, it doesn't alter the bittering properties, but only the flavor and aroma. So you can have some fun with it. For other tips and tricks on hopping, go to the forums to Ask the Brewmaster. You'll see my ideas about first wort hopping and mash hopping.